The 2024 presidential race is shaping up to be one of the tightest and most fiercely contested in modern history, with Donald Trump taking a slight edge over Kamala Harris in critical battleground states. This is surprising to many, considering that Harris, the sitting vice president, was initially viewed as having a strong lead. But recent polling shows Trump leading in multiple key areas, and he's even pulling slightly ahead in the national popular vote, a position he hasn't held consistently in prior campaigns. This could signify a major shift. Traditionally, polls tend to undercount Trump's actual voter support, so while Harris has a modest 0.6 national lead, there's a chance that it won't be enough to secure a victory if historical polling errors persist. Back in 2020, Joe Biden enjoyed a 7.2 lead over Trump at this stage, but that ultimately narrowed to a 4 win by Election Day, illustrating how polling doesn't always predict final outcomes precisely. Yes, with only a few weeks until Election Day, Harris and the Democratic Party are facing a shrinking window to sway undecided voters and shore up support. Let's delve deeper into the political landscapes of these battleground states to get a clearer picture of the dynamics driving this race. Starting with Nevada, a state that's leaned Democratic in recent election cycles, Trump now leads Harris by 0.7. This is notable since Democrats have carried Nevada in every presidential race since 2004 with George W. Bush being the last Republican to win there. Earlier in the campaign, Harris held the lead in Nevada, but Trump's momentum has transformed this typically Democratic-leaning state into a highly competitive battleground. In 2020, Biden led Trump by 5.3 in Nevada polling, but won by only 2.4, exposing a polling gap that, if repeated, could secure Trump the state. This has turned Nevada from a tilt blue in the last election to a lean red. That's designation in 2024, underscoring just how much the political terrain has shifted. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. Over in Arizona, another state critical to a winning electoral map, Trump currently leads by 1.6, and he's won 5 of the last 7 polls conducted there. This is a strong indicator that Arizona may be slipping from the Democratic grasp. In 2020, Biden narrowly carried Arizona by 0.3, a landmark Democratic win in a state that hadn't voted blue since Bill Clinton's era. However, demographic changes in Arizona haven't progressed as quickly as Democrats hoped, and the state seems to be shifting back toward Republican leanings. Analysts now classify Arizona as lean red for this election, in stark contrast to its lean blue status in 2020. And like traditionally Democratic states like Colorado and New Mexico, Harris is seeing softer support compared to Biden's numbers in 2020, although these states are still expected to remain in her column. As for example, Harris leads by 11 points in Colorado, but that figure comes from a Democratic-affiliated polling group potentially skewing the data slightly. In 2020, Biden's lead at this point was 13 points, and he went on to win the state by a solid margin. While Colorado is still likely to vote Democratic, the smaller lead Harris holds points to lower enthusiasm or support within the Democratic base. Similarly, Harris's 7.7 lead in New Mexico falls short of Biden's 12-point lead at this time in 2020. While these states will likely remain blue, the reduced margins could reflect broader national challenges that might influence the campaign's national strategy. Texas is another state attracting significant attention. While it has been a Republican stronghold for decades, Democrats have poured substantial resources into turning it into a battleground. During the 2020 campaign, polls showed Biden was within striking distance, with Trump holding only a 1-point lead, although Trump ultimately won Texas by a wider 5.6 margin. This time, Trump's lead is even stronger at around 6 points, placing Texas firmly in the lean or likely red category. With Texas offering a substantial number of electoral votes, Trump's solid lead here strengthens his path to the 270 votes needed for victory. Shifting to the Midwest, the story is complex but increasingly tilting toward Trump. In Minnesota, a state where Democrats traditionally hold a strong lead, the race has tightened. Harris leads by only 4.7 in Minnesota, even though Biden led by nearly 10 points this stage in 2020 and went on to win by around 7 points. Back in 2016, Clinton only narrowly defeated Trump in Minnesota, showing that the state has been trending away from being a Democratic stronghold for a while. Harris's narrower margin here in 2024 has led analysts to shift Minnesota's classification from likely blue in 2020 to lean blue this year. Meanwhile, Iowa, another key Midwestern state, appears firmly in Trump's column. In 2020, polling suggested a very close race, forecasting Trump to win by a single point, but he ended up taking Iowa by 8 points, reflecting a significant polling error. Now, Trump leads by 4 points, And if that polling gap holds, he could potentially secure an even wider margin on Election Day. Consequently, Iowa has moved from tilt red in 2020 to lean red in 2024, indicating a solid shift toward Republicans in this state. Nebraska's 2nd congressional district, while small, offers an intriguing counterpoint. Here, Harris holds a strong 10-point lead, marking a notable improvement for Democrats. Biden carried this district by 3.8 in 2020, and redistricting has since shifted the area slightly more Democratic. Although this district contributes just one electoral vote, it's a positive signal for Harris in an otherwise challenging election landscape. Wisconsin, one of the most pivotal swing states, is essentially a toss-up at the moment. Trump leads by a minuscule 0.1, making it one of the closest battlegrounds. ITOs and statistics in 2020, Biden held an 8-point lead in Wisconsin polling, but ultimately won by just 0.6, showing a strong polling error in favor of Democrats, with Wisconsin now categorized as tilt red for 2024. The state could be a deciding factor if Trump wins here. Michigan is showing similar dynamics, with Trump holding a razor-thin 0.2 loud wide. In 2020, Biden led by a more substantial 8 points in polling, but won the state by just 2.8. The current numbers place Michigan as a tilt red state, suggesting that Harris faces significant challenges in holding on to a key Rust Belt state that Biden managed to flip. In Ohio, Trump has a more comfortable 7-point lead. Polls in 2020 also indicated a closer race here, but Trump won by 8 points, suggesting Ohio is solidly in Republican territory. This moves Ohio from a tilt red in 2020 to likely red in 2024. Pennsylvania, another crucial state that often serves as the electoral tipping point, shows Trump leading by 0.5, though polling has been variable. Biden won Pennsylvania by 1.2 in 2020, despite having a 4.7 lead in polling at this stage. With the current numbers shifting Pennsylvania from lean blue in 2020 to tilt red in 2024, the state will likely be pivotal for both campaigns. Finally, Florida has consistently shown a strong Republican lean, with Trump now holding a significant 8.4 lead, underscoring the state's ongoing red shift. Moving from a lean blue in 2020 to a likely red in 2024, Florida's status reflects the broader trend favoring Republicans in southern states. And you put all these pieces together, Trump's pathway to an electoral victory seems viable, if not outright probable. In 2020, Biden won with 306 electoral votes. But if these current battleground trends hold, Trump could potentially secure around 312 votes, flipping the electoral map. Harris and the Democrats face a serious challenge in regaining ground in these key states, especially with persistent polling discrepancies adding another layer of unpredictability. Each sides in the next few weeks will be crucial as both campaigns focus on solidifying their bases and targeting undecided voters. For now, Trump's strong positioning in battleground states suggests he's closer to regaining the White House than many originally anticipated. Stay tuned for continued analysis, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep up with in-depth election insights as the race progresses.